The world is getting more connected. Not only your smartphone or tablet, but even your TV, refrigerator, car, and VR set are being connected to wireless networks. By now, we'll already have begun the first chapter of the so-called Internet of Things. But the scalability of such networks demands multi-Gbps throughput, large bandwidth, and ultra-low latency. For examples, the immersive virtual and augmented reality demand more than 5 Gbps wireless speeds and sub-10 millisecond frame transmission latency. An autonomous car at its peak rate can locally generate 10 Gbps data from its various sensors. Millimeter wave is thus increasingly pitted to be the carrier technology of choice for 5G wireless connectivity. For instance, this is the operational band of today's LTE and Wi-Fi. And this is the potential millimeter wave band, more than 1000 times wider unlicensed spectrum. Adoption of millimeter wave poses several challenges. While there is much work on combating signal out, the issue of device overheating has been overlooked. This reel generated on a thermal camera shows that the temperature of a millimeter wave device rise by 11 degrees Celsius in just 5 minutes. With small handheld devices, such overheating becomes disconcerting to the user and may even have potential health hazards, especially when the devices are worn or used near to the face and brain. In this work, for the first time in literature, we present a thorough study of the thermal characterization of millimeter wave devices from our 60 GHz testbed. Based on our insights from this study, we present Aquilo, a multi-antenna scheduler aimed at minimizing the peak temperature of the device antennas, but we will get back to it later. Our study reveals that increased temperature during operation degrades the performance of millimeter wave networks by increasing the fluctuations in throughput. The standard deviation can reach 240 Mbps while the network remains largely stable. This hampers latency-critical applications. The resulting standard deviation has an almost linear relation with average increase in temperature. The heat in a millimeter wave antenna acts as electrical charge in a capacitor. The temperature increases rapidly when the transfer begins. However, the temperature does not fall back to the ideal state level immediately as the transfer stops. The strawman approach to reining in this overheating issue is to allow antennas to periodically go to idleness. We investigated such a scheme. 3 transmission trials were carried out. First, a continuous transmission of 180 seconds. Second, a trial of periodic transmissions of 10 seconds with 5-second idleness in between for a total duration of 270 seconds. At this 67% duty cycle, the effective transmission in this trial was 180 seconds. For the sake of completeness, we carried out another continuous transmission trial of 270 seconds. As shown, while the continuous transmission trials pushed temperature close to 75 degrees Celsius in 200 seconds, inducing periodic idleness kept temperature below 65 degrees throughout the operation. Unfortunately, for many of the applications such as VR, the stringent throughput and latency guarantees make such a naive scheme as periodic idleness futile. Fortunately, however, multi-antenna architecture is an attractive proposition for millimeter wave devices to combat rampant signal outage due to blockage and mobility. We intend to exploit this multi-antenna design. Thus, we present Aquilo, a temperature-aware multi-antenna scheduler. Essentially, the idea is to switch operation between the antennas, but in a smart way. Aquilo uses estimation of temperature profile from online measurements to generate look-ahead antenna schedules for a collection of time slots we will call one frame. The look-ahead schedules are sorted in terms of peak temperatures at the beginning of each frame, and the desired antennas are probed and switched to at the beginning of each slot in a frame. Aquilo runs through the sorted list of schedules as long as it finds the antenna satisfying the minimum throughput requirement. In brief, Aquilo updates the throughput and temperature profile of each antenna in the background as data transfer continues. The look-ahead list of schedules are generated in parallel. Aquilo sorts the look-ahead list in terms of peak temperature at the end of a frame. At the beginning of each slot, the antenna from the top of the list is chosen given that its link strength is enough to support the application's throughput requirement. Otherwise, Aquilo updates the list and repeats step 4. In this way, Aquilo achieves 15 to 20 degree reduction in peak temperature. For more information, please check our website.